Hi, it's Sandra, and something I've been wanting to do a video on is stamping with different kinds of plates. I know I've seen a lot on the Facebook on people who are trying to stamp with plates that have a lot of negative stuff, images, and just different companies' plates. So I'd like to kind of talk about those, some specific plates that are harder than others, and the kind of stampers that I find, and scrapers that I find that helps or kind of gets me over the hump when I'm having problems stamping. So to start off with, I just want to say that Maniology really is the best stamping plate that I've ever worked with. And their images are, no matter how many lines they have on them, they're crisp, they're etched well, they're not bumpy so that they're, it's rough to touch. They're just very, very nice plates. And if all you ever stamp with is Maniology, it does take some getting used to stamping with other plates. So the other plates that I want to talk about are, I have some Mundo de unes plate, a couple of those. This is clear jelly stamper. I have some Born Pretty plates, some Beauty Big Bang plates. I have, this is from, I think it's Lantern and Wren now, and it's actually, God, I can't think of what the name of the Sugar Bubbles plates. And then I've got Moya of England or Europe. And this is another, I think this is another Born Pretty. I've also got some UberChic and What's Up plates. And I've got some Lina plates, which is by Lantern and Wren. So let's kind of go over these and talk about difficulty. I'm going to show you how some of these plates are fine. So Born Pretty, when you first start stamping, are probably hard plates to use. So, but now, most of them I don't have an issue with. The problem with Born Pretty is that it usually takes forever to get the plate, and sometimes you don't get the plate you ordered. So that's my issue with them. When you do use different plates or any kind of stamping plate, you want to have a variety of stampers. So I have this, so my go-to stamper that I like when I'm having issues is clear jelly stamper. And that is because this particular stamper is very, very soft, and it's very, very sticky. So when I'm having lots of problems, a lot of times this one will work. This other one from Clear Jelly Stamper, and I think that I may have replaced the stamper on this. So, and if I did, I probably got them from Maniology. I'm not sure. I really honestly can't remember. This one is very stiff, and sometimes using a stiff stamper really helps. I've also got this one from Queen, and no matter how cloudy this thing gets, it's still, to me, it's still a great stamper. So I keep this one around as well. And then, of course, I have the cube stamper from Maniology, and these cube stampers are always my go-to because I like doing full nail stamps, and this really fits on that very well. I find that their big stamper is a good stamper, and it's flatter than a lot of them. But to use a stamper, I actually have to practice after using the rectangular one. So I think it's just a matter of getting used to each one of the stampers, and you'll find that each one of them will help you with specific stamping plates. So I would get a variety of them. The other thing is I do have this Maniology, this real sticky stamper that you can use to shrink things with. And if I think that I really can't get something, I mean, if I have no luck getting it with any of these stampers, I'll try this. And the only reason I don't like using this is obviously because it's not clear. So I'd have to make a sticker out of that, and that's just an extra step that I'd rather not do. So those are the kind of the stampers I have. Not sure if you can get these stamping, these latex or whatever these things are made out of in hard or soft, or I don't think you have that choice on most of these websites. I haven't seen where you have a choice, so it's kind of a luck of the draw. But when you get different ones, hang on to them. The other thing is scrapers. I've never had anything but these small scrapers from Maniology, and they work fine for me. And Puin gives you this scraper, which is very, very thick and hard. And this is like a credit card. So I would imagine there are people that use credit cards. You could use a credit card. But these are good sometimes for negative space images where there's a ton of stamping polish space. So this sometimes works because when you scrape it, it's not taking off the actual stamping polish. It's going over top of it. So let's start with some Born Pretty stuff. And I've got, let's see, is this one? So this one is Born Pretty. And I think one of these is Born Pretty. And another one. Okay, this is Beauty Big Bang. And I know I have, is this Born Pretty? Okay, so that's Born Pretty, and that's Beauty Big Bang. This one is Born Pretty. And I'm just going to use, let's use some dark polish so you can at least see it. But I don't want to use black because the black stains so much. So let's do brown polish. This color is Terracotta Rose. All right, so let's do this Born Pretty one first. And I'm just going to, like I normally do, let's put some polish on there. And scrape it. And I'm going to go to my rectangular one because that's the one I like the best. And you can see that it turned out really well. No problems. Looks like the line came out well. See if we can get this focus. Lines came out really well. No problem. I did used to have problems with this plate. When I first started getting other plates besides Maniology, I had big problems with it. So let me stamp this on my lint roller so you can see it. And you can see it turned out really well. So no problems with that plate. Once you get experienced, I think you do, when you first start, I think Maniology is a great plates to start with. And as far as I'm concerned, their plates are good to end with too. The only time I don't buy from Maniology is when I see something really different from some other company because they ship fast. I'm part of the Mani by Me, so therefore I don't ever have to pay for shipping as long as it's $20, a $20 order. Let's just do Maniology stamp too while we're at it. Let's do this vampire. And you can see there's really thin lines on this vampire. Just gonna scrape it. And what did I do with my, oh, here it is. And I'm going to stamp it. I probably waited too long. And there he is, the vampire. I can't see it very well, but he looks really, really good too. I'm gonna put him on here so you can see it. So he turned out really good too. No problems. Maniology. And so we have a Maniology plate and a Born Pretty plate so far. Maniology, I would never even hesitate with that. Born Pretty, some people have no problems with them. Sometimes, you know, and sometimes I do. So that one, where's my beauty? Okay, so here is Beauty Big Bang. And this is another one that when you first get them, when you first start stamping, it's not the easiest plate to use. And I mean, I still don't think it's a really easy plate to use. And I think that, and you know that lines, any kind of lines like this are always difficult to get on straight. So I'm just going to scrape this in a couple directions. And then I'm going to use my stamper. And I'm going to stamp it. And that actually turned out really well. You can see that. And I'm going to put that on my So there you go. That one turned out really good. And that was Beauty Big Bang. We're going to get to some here where I'm going to have problems. Okay, so those are good. They're difficult to use at first, but once you get used to them, they're fine. And what I suggest is you go through your different stampers and see what works for you. Now, pressure on these images also is a factor. So if I am a heavy stamper, so I always stamp heavy. Now, when you're doing some of these, if you lighten up on it, the image comes out better. So that's another factor that you have to think about. This is a liner plate. This is by Lantern and Wren. I've had no problems with those. Again, they take some getting used to. Let's do this image right here. And again, I don't, no problems. I don't see any, I know this is really hard to see on here. I don't see any issues with that one. Lantern and Wren plates, I've never had issues with. And they have some really cute plates. Okay. So far, so good. Now, what's up? What's Up, in my opinion, is just as good as Maniology. Their plates I've never had issues with. Fine lines pick up with these. No issues whatsoever. So let's do this one. And looks good. Let me show you on this. And you always have to use, now sometimes people look like when they're picking up an image, they're just going straight up and down. I would say that 99% of the time they're giving it a little roll even though you're not seeing that. So What's Up is another great brand that I've never had issues with. Close to Maniology quality, or exactly Maniology's quality. I have no problems with it. UberChic, another great plate manufacturer. Don't have any problems with them. Now, I did have a plate one time. In fact, it was a Halloween plate that had a little Frankenstein head, and the negative space would not, no matter what I did, it would not come out. I wrote to the company. They replaced the plate. It was definitely a flaw with the plate. So, but that's the only issue I've ever had. So let's do this one. Perfect, no problems. Let's put this one on here. And there you go. So that is UberChic. Okay. Now we're getting into some other plates. So this is clear jelly stamper. I love clear jelly stamper images. I've never had a problem with them. The problem I have with their plates is that they're very tiny. The images are tiny, and doing the layers is not as easy as you think it's going to be lining them up. So I don't remember what I did, maybe this snowman, and I must have done him, I don't even know how many, 100 times. And I mean, I just had to keep doing it and doing it different ways to line it up. It's lining it up. It's not getting the image, it's lining it up. So this little snowman is very, 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 very dainty. So, in fact, that's, it takes 3 stamps to completely do him. So all the lines are fine. He is the cutest snowman, probably one of the cutest ones I've seen. But the lines are very fine. They pick up very well. But when you go to do the layers, and I'm sorry, he goes this way. His head is bigger than his body. But when you do the layers, because it's so small, it's very hard for me to see. I'm sure if your eyes are very young, you don't have the problem. But as far as picking up the stamp, no problems with this. Clear Jelly Stamper has great images. They got some unique plates. No problems. So let's save this one for last. So this one is actually sugar bubbles. And I tried to find, I have only one other sugar bubbles. I think Lantern and Wren is the one that's carrying these. And it is my opinion that, let's put it this way, I got one that it was difficult to pick up the picture, but I got it. So that's fine. You know, I got it up and it's not a big deal, but it was bumpy. You can feel on here. They're always scratched. This plate, I think I can only get 2 or 3 images off. They are not etched well. At least they weren't when I first started buying them. And I am hesitant to buy any of these because of the quality of the plate. So let me give you an example. So I know that I can pick up this monster right down here. He's no problem picking up because he's one of the ones that I can pick up. So let's do this. Let's do the monster here. Okay. So here's this thing. This thing looks like it's from Beetlejuice, not from Nightmare Before Christmas. So he picks up well. No problems, okay? Now, Jack's skeleton, Jack and Sally, are difficult to pick up. So let me show you how they are. So let me get him in here. But they can be picked up. It takes some practice, it takes some time, but they can be picked up. No problem. Okay, now see how this is what happens is you don't get the whole image. And I've had to mess with this and mess with this and mess with this just to get an image that I would put on my nails. So since I couldn't get it off this using this stamper, I'm going to go to my next stamper. So let's try, and let's not scrape it as hard. So let's do this. And I'm going to try not to scrape it hard. So let's do it this way. So I'm going to scrape it really light. And I'm going to go to my real sticky one. Okay, so you can see how the image with the real sticky one, stamper that I have, and lightly scraping it, definitely improved the quality of the stamp. Okay, that to me is acceptable. It's not perfect, but it's absolutely acceptable. Okay, and Sally is the same way. Sally, the image Sally on here is the same way. You have to mess around with her. You can get somewhat of an image. Now let's go to my friend Zero here, or the what was it, Oogity Boogity Man? I don't know what his name is. But this plate, I really wanted this green guy. And he does not come out. I could do that 100 times and that image will not come out. So that to me is unacceptable. If I've got a plate with 13 or 14 images and only 2 of them come out, guess what? That's unacceptable. So I have the same issue with Zero. I have the same issue with this, these 2 little characters down here. And what's interesting about this one is it comes out except for the facial features. Look at that. So I was able to get it up using my very sticky, soft stamper, but her facial features don't come out probably because it's a really fine line. So this plate to me was not, it's not worth $1 to me because it just was not, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. And because of this plate, although I did call I did email Lantern Wren, they did refund my money. But I am not going to order the sugar bubbles again. Now, some of you may have issues with these plates where you accept just a few images working. I don't like that. I'm not going to pay for something that did not do what it's supposed to. So although I love Jack Skellington, I will not be, and I love Sugar Bubbles, the stuff that they have, I will not be buying a plate from them anymore. So, and then this is just another Born Pretty plate. I wanted to show you some variety in this. They have these little teeny round plates. And like I said, the image with this is not that they, I mean, with practice, you can definitely work up to this and do it. Sorry, it's not going to help me. But it's just the weight, and you know, if they don't, I'm not sure if they just mess up orders or if they don't have the plate and they just throw in something else thinking, oh well, here's a substitute. But and their customer service, trying to write to them is a nightmare. I just rather not deal with them. There's too many other plate manufacturers that I can throw my money at. So Born Pretty, their plates are, for the most part, okay. Here's a Mundo de Unes plate, and this is Garfield. Now, these kind of are, I've never gotten one of these that I couldn't use. There are some images, I believe I have one that's Alice in Wonderland, and some of the images are actually just etched wrong. Like the picture isn't right. So obviously when you stamp it, the picture is going to be wrong. So although I think these are better than Sugar Bubbles, they're still not a perfect plate. So Garfield, you know, I just don't think they're etched very well. For the most part, I can get every single one of these images off of here, no problem. And here's Garfield. And let me put him on here. And he comes off great. So I buy from them. I have no problems. The glitter guy also sells this brand of plate. I think they buy them in bulk and then they turn around and sell them to you so you don't have to wait so long. But that image was fine. I think it was this image. I think it's this image right here that's, now this some of these you can feel and they're rough. So let's do this image here. I think it's this one that I have a hard time with. But maybe not. Okay, nope, that turned out good. So yeah, their plates are a little bit, sometimes the image is hard to pick up, but for the most part you can get the image off of there. It's not as nice as Maniology, but you can get the image off there, and performance of them just takes a little bit of work when you're new to this. The last one I want to talk about is this Moya of London. I've seen a lot of questions of this, and these are, I think they're difficult to pick up, and I'm not sure, and I do think part of it is because of the fact that it's such an open space, but I do think they're difficult. So this is where you got to kind of mess around and use some strategy. So let's take this big open, or let's do the water, because I really had a hard time with that. So let's do the water. And I mean, this is a big open space. So you know, you want to get a lot of paint on there. And you know that if you scrape too hard, you're not going to get that image off because it's going to be all gone. The paint's going to be all gone. So what can you do? Well, some people say that if you use a really thick scraping card and you scrape, it doesn't take off the paint. And my experience has been that it does take off the paint. I still have issues with these plates anyway. Sometimes I've been able to use this thick scraper and it's definitely gotten better. So, all right, so we did it that way. Let me see if I didn't scrape very hard with that. Let me see if I scrape harder. So this is what I go through, just like what you would go through. Okay, that didn't work. And how much of this can I live without before I think it's acceptable? So let's take the heavy scraper again. Scraped it. Okay, so there it is with a scrape, a good scrape. And you can see there's still stuff that's missing. Now, if you were to take this and you were to fill this in like reverse stamping, when you go to put it on your nail, it's not going to look good because you're going to see those spots. So in my opinion, when you have this issue, and this can even be this, I mean, Maniology's plate, the French manicure plate has a lot of open space, but you don't have the issues that you have with this. So this, for some reason, is still harder. So we tried it that way, and we tried it with the rectangular, the cube stamper. Let's try it again. Before we change stampers, let's try it again, only this time let's use this really sticky, soft one. So I just lightly did it, and unfortunately it's not big enough, probably. Okay, so that turned out pretty good. Still rough around the edges. I probably didn't scrape very well there, but that turned out better than the other one. And part of it, I'm sure, is because of the stickiness and the softness of this stamper. So that's not too bad. I could clean that up and it would have been an acceptable stamp. So that worked out pretty good. So now I know next time to scrape further down or maybe put a little less polish on there. Okay? Now let's try this. Sometimes this really stiff stamper works well. So let's do the same thing. It looks like I scraped a little too hard on there. And that's a stiff one. Now the stiff one works on some images. I don't think it works good on these really open images, but I'm trying to think of what, I mean, I've used this and it's worked really well. So it definitely has its images that it does better on than others. So I think that you need that variety of stampers and that variety of scrapers to really get these plate varieties to have success with them. And like I said, it takes practice. This Jaws plate, I did a manicure with it, and it took me longer than normal because I was trying to figure out what images or how hard to scrape, what stamper to use, and you know how hard to push down on the stamper. So it just takes a lot of practice. So if you have any questions, absolutely send me a message. If you found this video useful, please give me a thumbs up. If you would like a demonstration on a particular plate that you may have, or hopefully I have it, that we can kind of go over this, definitely leave me a comment. And please, when you go to order on Maniology, use my discount code of NS10. Thanks for watching and have a great day.